Hey gang, what's up? Just Ehren right here, Question Period Canada. How you doing? Today was a mess in Parliament. For a Monday, it was wild. No Poilievre, no Trudeau, but still, these armies are battling crazy like. It falls off the rails very early. FREGUS, Speaker of the House, has no control. We're just going to watch this one piece, and it will show you what went down today in Parliament. It was crazy.
The Honourable Member from Lethbridge.
Common sense Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, stop the crime, and fix the budget. That's what our commitment to Canadians is. Meanwhile, the NDP Liberal Prime Minister can't help himself but skyrocket the crime, increase the corruption, and of course, he's just not worth the cost because he's causing it to go through the roof. But he's incredibly hypocritical because for him, pollution is free. He can just jet set around the world while Canadians continue to pay. On April 1st, they'll see an increase of 23% on the carbon tax. My question is simple. Will the Liberals finally side with Conservatives and scrap the tax?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the most appropriate question is, will the Conservatives actually look at the data? The data will tell you that 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back and that it is actually an affordability measure. If the Honourable Member would actually look at the research done by the University of Calgary, she would know that. But, Mr. Speaker, I think Canadians really need to understand that the Conservative approach to climate change is to let the planet burn. It is to leave an impoverished environment and an impoverished economy for the future of our children. Shame, shame, shame.
The Honourable Member from Lethbridge.
The contrast could not be more stark when it comes to the Liberals versus the Conservatives and their opposition to the Canadian people.
Once again, colleagues, the chair could not hear the question being asked by the Honourable Member, and that Honourable Member is actually close to the chair. The Honourable Member from Lethbridge, from the top.
It's shameful that my colleagues across the way would clap for a 23% increase in the carbon tax when Canadians are lining up at the food bank. Insurmountable numbers. Millions of Canadians cannot afford to put food on their tables, and these folks over here stand and clap. That is shameful. When will they grow?
Go on. Whoa. You must start, right?
You can call them to account.
Mr. Speaker.
You can call them to account. You can call them to account.
So time has come awfully close to the end of the Honourable Member's question. I'd like to reassure the Honourable Member the chair nor the table had heard a comment that was unparliamentary. So this is why it is very important to all colleagues. It is very important for members to not comment while a member has the floor. The recognized member has the floor. I'm going to ask the Honourable Member, please, to restrain himself while I try to give an explanation to all members. As I was saying to colleagues, is that it's so important for us to keep our voices down and to restrain ourselves while... I'm going to ask the Honourable Member once again to please, and ask him, please follow the good example of his whip and restrain himself while this chair is talking. It is so important for colleagues to be quiet so that the chair can hear the question, and if on occasion that members say something that is untoward or unparliamentary, that the chair or the table can hear that comment to making sure that things happen within an appropriate parliamentary tone. The Honourable Member from New Brunswick Southwest.
You didn't get an answer.
terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry. The honourable member, the honourable minister, to resign. So, again, I'm going to ask all members please restrain. So I'm going to give the honourable member from Lethbridge 10 seconds to put her question left, if she chooses to exercise that, to allow 10 seconds left to ask her question. Would the honourable member from Lethbridge like to have those 10 seconds?
Really? Mr. Speaker, the minister across the way had something to say to me before. Perhaps they'd say it on the record. The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we agree that the contrast could not be more stark.
Yes.
Could not be more stark, Mr. Speaker, because of the Canada carbon rebate. We are putting money back in the pockets of Canadian, in the honourable member's own province, Mr. Speaker. $1,800 will go back to Canadian and Albertan families because of the Canada carbon rebate, Mr. Speaker. $1,200 for Manitoba.
Just I want to remind members to be very judicious. If they're going to quote from something, but otherwise it could be perceived as a prop. So I'll ask the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to continue. She has 6 seconds left on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, I'll close by saying that the Leader of the Opposition's climate denial would axe all of the rebates that we are giving.
The honourable member from New Brunswick Southwest.
Mr. Speaker, while common sense Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget and stop the crimes, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the cost, the crime or the corruption after 8 years. Canadians are paying higher prices because of sky-high taxes. Today in New Brunswick, we pay over almost 60 cents more for gasoline per litre than they do in neighbouring Maine. On April the 1st, the carbon tax is going to go up again, 23%. Will the Liberals axe the carbon tax and give Canadians a break? Yeah. Great job.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, what do you call someone who says one thing and does the other? You say they are acting hypocritically. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, you would say that they are acting hypocritically. The Conservative Party says they have principles. If you don't like, they have other principles. In their 2021 platform, on which every one of those members of Parliament was elected, the platform said, quote, "We recognize that the most efficient way to reduce our emissions is to use pricing mechanisms." The Conservative position is not only devoid of facts, Mr. Speaker, but their position is the height of hypocrisy. How can Canadians believe anything these folks say?
The Honourable Member from New Brunswick Southwest.
Mr. Speaker, let's remember, these Liberals promised they would never increase the carbon tax by more than $50 a tonne. It's skyrocketing up to $270 a tonne. It's going to go up again on April the 1st. And voters in my district see that every day they cross the line to buy gas in Maine, 50 cents less a litre cheaper. On top of that, they're now collecting the HST and the GST on gasoline and energy prices, another $5 billion. When are these Liberals going to start stop punishing Canadians and give Canadians a break?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
My colleague, the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, just asked this member a question.
Order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
In the category of God forbid, Mr. Speaker, look, this member went around like all of his colleagues. Every single person who has asked a question in question period today went to their constituents' doorsteps with a brochure that says, elect us, we will have a price on carbon. How do those members now stand up with a serious face in front of Canadians and say they're not misleading them today?
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up these highlights for today. That's another crazy day in the books. Like, Canadian politics is wild. Poilievre and Trudeau both weren't there today. It was still crazy. These armies clash. It's so exciting. There's going to be an election. There's one looming, like it's right around the corner. Let's see when that comes. Is the NDP Liberal coalition government going to break down? Is Poilievre going to overtake and become the next Prime Minister of Canada? Trudeau's done, it seems like. We just have fun with Canadian politics here. So like and subscribe, share this with somebody, and we'll catch you next video. Remember to have something healthy to eat and try to stay warm. We'll catch you next video.